Hi, Marcel, the Wood Butcher. Today we're going to talk about being square. Yeah, back in the 50s and 60s, being square was, you weren't groovy. You weren't in the groove. You didn't know what was going on, man, and stuff like that. However, in your woodworking shop, being square is being accurate. And today we're going to talk about, uh, and again, this is with my new camera. I'm still holding it by hand because I haven't figured out how to make it with the tripod yet. Because, like I said, I'm a cruel one. But we're going to talk about squares. You're going to go on the space station for a second. And these guys here, yes, we're going to talk about these guys here. Up. The one thing I don't have there, actually, two squares I don't have pictured there are a speed square and a regular carpenter square, which are probably the best to use. But we're going to go through some of these, and I'm going to try to tell you which ones are the best to use and which ones are not so good to use, and is your square actually square? Okay. We have a couple different types here. We have what they call a tri-square. It's fixed. It's that's it. It is what it is. And this type here, you can't even adjust it. It is what it is. If you're going for tri-squares, you might want to think twice about using ones that are famous for being produced with this part being wood with brass along here. Because what does wood do? It expands and contracts when it is either moist or dry. So that square, the ones that are wood, have three little adjustment screws. Usually, sorry for the lighting. Hey, I got a better camera, but the lighting still needs some work, okay? But they usually have like three screws that you can adjust to make sure it's square, and we'll show you how to do that. That's that guy. Combination square, not combination squares, but adjustable squares. You can get them and fit. Look, I can't even fit it in the camera. You can get them at 15-inch length, right? You can get them in 12-inch length. You can get them in, well, that's another 12-inch length. This one is an old one, right? And you can also get them in what I call the micro version, which is a 6-inch length. They're fantastic because they are supposed to be a true 90 degrees between here. Well, let me get my fat fingers out of the way. Between here, I'm just trying to get my orientation right because it's backwards on the screen. Between here and here, and they're supposed to be a true 45 up there. Okay. Then there is something called the engineering square, the most accurate of any of them. They're metal on metal. They're not adjustable. And they look like this. They are adjustable. You'll notice, see if I can get this right. 3 little screw heads there. I hope that's focusing. I'm not sure on that side and also on this side. These little buggers here are, they're not cheap. I came across this one that was an antique at a woodworking show for $10. And the guy saw me doing the procedure I'm going to show you to see if your square is actually square. Okay? I'm going to have to put you on the space station a second while I move the camera. Let me get the friggin' wire out of the way while I move the camera to the top of the laptop, adjust it. What's the hell I can do to get this right? Is that going to work? Yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay. Hey, you know, when it comes to six-pack abs, some people have the six-pack. I carry the keg. But I digress. Let's get back to showing you how you know if your squares are squares or are square. Because most of the squares you buy are not square. Okay. They're just not. I mean, it's a manufacturing thing, whatever. Let me see if I can adjust this a little better. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to take number 1. I'm not going to use that big 18-inch guy. Let's use the little 6-inch guy. Okay. I have a piece of white poster board here, right? And let's first of all see if the poster board is square. Oh, Christ, I got to pick the camera up, okay? So, just so you guys know. Well, there we go. We're docking with the Soyuz, right? Just so you can see. It's square, okay? I'm going to put it back up here a second. We're going to take a pencil. A sharp pencil. Not one of these. The lead is too blunt, it's too thick, it's not going to be accurate. We're going to make sure that this part of the square, excuse me, let me move my hands, that this part of the square, right, is square, right? And we're going to take our pencil and we're going to draw a line, just a simple line down the paper. I think you can, shit, wait a minute. This isn't working as well as I thought it was going to. I'm going to have to hold this thing and do this, okay? You can see the line we drew, right? From the end here, where our square was square, right? Now, we're going to take the square, just simply flip it over, hold it, and see if the lines match up. If it's obvious they don't line up, my advice is use a red pencil or a red pen and draw the line. This guy actually seems to be pretty on square. Okay? So he passes. He goes to the side. Let's take the tri-square buried under all these other ones here. Wait a minute. Got it? Okay. This guy here, manufactured to be square. Now, to avoid confusion of the lines, the first thing we're going to do is go back to our paper here. Where the hell is the lines, right? And we're going to kind of squiggle that out so we don't use the same reference point. This camera seems to have a problem with autofocus, but we'll fix that. We'll fix that. Hey, I'm learning here, okay? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hold it flush. And you have to make sure you have something flush. We're going to hold it flush. You're going to... hey, yeah. There's my laptop, and there's this show being produced. Okay, produced. What the hell? I don't know what the heck. But we're going to do the same thing. We're basically going to draw a straight line down the outside of the square, right? As it's orientated on this. Like I said, I chose to use poster board. I probably should have used a Sharpie, but a Sharpie would give too much of a thick line. You really have to make sure that the line that you draw is thin. And we're going to take the square, simply flip it over, and line it up. Now, here's what they call a tri-square that's supposed to be square from the factory. And I'm going to take, I don't have red, so I'm going to use blue. And I'm going to draw a separate line to show you, because I can see this square is probably about 1/8 to 1/16 of an inch off out of being square. I'm going to put the camera down a second and draw this. I'm going to show you the gap, or try to show you the gap. Let the camera focus. See that gap? From where we were to where we are. Okay? I'm going to let you look at my pretty mug for a second. I think, if I can set this right. And what I'm going to do is, oh, well, it's a nice ceiling, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to try to put this over here. That seems to work. Because I really need both hands to do this, because we've got a square that is out of square. And this isn't going to be the best, because, but here we go. May get blurry for a second, but I want you to notice when we get to the top of where the square was, how off that is. It's perfect down here. And that's how off it actually is up top. Now that only may be about 1/16 of an inch, or maybe less. But keep in mind, the length of the piece that you're working on, the wider that gap is going to get. So, how do you take a manufactured tri-square that does not have any adjustment screws on it and adjust it? It can be done. It's called hit and miss with a rubber mallet. And that's all you got to do, is just, if you see it's out that way, what you got to do, obviously, I'm going to put this back on the PC for a second. I apologize. I thought the new camera would make stuff easier. I know the picture's better. Well, it better be. I mean, this is a Logitech, HD C920 Pro C920, right? Is you have to adjust your gap. Now, in this case, the gap was open, so you got to take a rubber mallet and basically beat it till it comes right. And then, is it going to stay there? I don't know. You don't know. Jesus and God don't even know. So if you're going to buy tri-squares, make sure you buy good ones if you're going to use them. Now, the other combination squares that I showed you, all of these other ones, I'm just going to put them all aside because I showed you how to do the first one, right? Oh, and by the way, if you have a combination square that is out of square, you can put it into square. All you got to do is loosen the blade. Now, a lot of people will tell you to use, like a needle sander and sand the inside out. Loosen this guy here, the nut that makes the ruler slide across it. Take it out. Remove as far as you can the piece that holds it in. It's a little, whoop, there went the nut. Okay, there's the nut. There's a little spring, right? Don't lose the spring or the nut. Otherwise, you'll be really screwed. And take the tip of the already steel ruler and just kind of grind in there what you need to remove. It's a hit or miss. Don't do it a lot. Otherwise, you're really going to excuse me. You're not going to fuck up your square. You're going to really screw your square up, and then it's only good for this edge and this edge to use on your saws. Okay? And then we'll put it back together, which I'll do later. Okay? So we'll throw this guy aside. And Mr. Spring, don't you go anywhere. You stay there. Okay? Now, the engineering square. Okay? We're going to do the same thing. For the sake of making you dizzy, I'm going to lay it on the paper, draw the lines, and then I'll show you the results. And like I said, I bought this thing for $10 at the woodworking show at the Edison, New Jersey, or Paramus, whatever the hell it was, Piscataway Exhibition Center. This guy is dead on balls accurate. And I'm going to show you. Now, when I first picked it up at the show, the person I bought it from, he said for a $10 square, he said, you're going to go through all of that? I said, yes, because I want my squares to be square. And this engineering square, this little guy here, because it's so small, it's only like 5 inches long, if that, right? It's what I use to adjust the blades on my saw, plus on smaller woodworking projects. So it has to be square. When I first got it, it was off probably by about a 64th or 32nd of an inch. But because of the adjustment screws here, which you can see, right? You loosen them up a little bit. You give it a little wrap. You don't even need to wrap it. Just hit it with your hand. Tighten them down again. Try it till you make it square. And that's the way you make sure your squares are square. It's high tech. It's called using a pencil. The sharper the point of the pencil, let me adjust the camera a little bit. Hey, I'm learning. Oh, Jesus Christ, I went the wrong way. Okay. I'm learning just like you are. The sharper the pencil. My advice, go to Staples. get yourself a 9mm, not a pistol, a 9mm lead mechanical pencil. 7mm lead, 5mm lead, they break too easy. A 9mm lead pencil. You're going to find the thinner your line is, the more accurate your cuts are going to be. You use these guys, carpenters use them. They're building houses. Their inaccuracy is like an eighth of an inch, a 64th, whatever. When you're doing woodworking, a 64th or 128th, whatever the hell the math comes to, is a big deal when you're trying to put a miter joint together or something like that, or mortise and tenons. It's or lap joints. It's a big deal for us. You're framing a house. You're putting walls up. That's why nobody's houses. You take a square, put it to the corner of any room in your house. I'll told you, not guarantee you, told you, it's not completely square. Because they're not using precision squares. They're using speed squares, carpenter squares, stuff like that. And that's okay. But when you're making furniture, when you're making knickknacks, when you're making, stuff like this, custom business card holders, that have to take other pieces on them, it's important that they be picture frames. If you want to make picture frames, you want to make different things like that, your squares being square is of vital importance. Okay? And once you know your squares are square, now you can go to your table saw. You can go to your not your jigsaw, your compound miter saw. You can go to your scroll saw, whatever. You can go to your circular saw and make sure that your cuts are straight and natural the first time. It's a simple thing. If you have any questions or comments about these guys here, leave them down below. Oh, I'm pointing the wrong way. I got to get orientated to this. The camera's opposite. I'm used to it being from the same direction because I was doing it from a cell phone before, but now I'm not. Okay? So, and when you do buy squares, if you choose to chintz on the price of them a little bit, test them with the lines that we drew, and you can adjust them. Just make sure that they are square. Okay? For right now, this is Marcel, the Wood Butcher, saying, protect your eyes, protect your lungs, protect your ears, and don't forget about these guys. Mine healed nicely, but that was on this hand. Yeah, I took the tip of this finger off. I took a part of the tip of this finger off, and then I sliced this one really good, all on the table saw. So that's why I always say, don't forget about these guys. Okay? For right now, make it a great day, and Semper Fi.